Good morning, everyone. We'll just wait a few moments while we let everyone settle in. Please do grab a tea or a coffee, and we'll go through today. Is your team ready for social media? So we'll just give it 2 more minutes. Okay, I'm going to get started. So thank you very much for taking your time on this Saturday to come and speak on this vital topic. And today is not just about hearing from me, it's also hearing also what your concerns are. So we do have menti.com that we will be running through. And this is always a case of ensuring you that you're not on your own when you're having these thoughts or considering your digital parenting and hearing from each other and where you all sit. It's very much something we're learning as a community, as our children are navigating a space that we're not used to or have not grown up in. So I would invite you all to come over to menti.com. There's also a QR code there that you can scan. And there are only a few questions as we go through, but it points us in the right direction and points me to the right conversation to be having with you. So the first question is, what's your biggest worry about your child's social media usage? And I'll just give everyone a moment. And I know we still have some people coming through as well, to come on to Mentimeter and respond to that question. And for the new participants coming in, welcome. And please do scan the QR code as we ask ourselves, what's our biggest worry? And this will help me navigate the conversation as well. And we're seeing some key indicators which are true for many of us. Cyberbullying, that addiction, the screen time that we have built into the use of social media. Influencers, which we will go into in depth here. And I'm glad to see that we're also still speaking on security element of it. Addiction is obviously raising very high there. And I think we mean that by the screen time usage and the over usage of social media. Thank you very much. I just wait. I can see more people are there to respond, and then I'll hop into the conversation. Thank you. We can see some common patterns coming out. So, what we need to start with is understanding social media has changed dramatically. Now, you may be younger than I am. And when I started in social media, it was in my 20s and it was on platforms such as Facebook, where I was navigating the conversation of friends I saw in the real world. My feed would be full of what they're doing at the weekends, them getting married, them having children, and us progressing our real world into the social world and social media. Our children are not navigating social media in exactly the same way. What we see from the outside and what they're also getting from it is also very different. Their feeds are very much on entertainment, currency in terms of news currency, pop culture, influencer culture, and they are turning to it. Social media, not only to find out about their friends. In fact, on many platforms, they won't get much information about their friends at all. It will be about their zeitgeist and the culture around them. They are seeing it as an integral part of their identities. a place to learn new things, connect with new friends. There are no barriers to friendships like we have in the real world. As they get older, they may connect with people in different communities online as well. And that's a normalized culture for them, something else we need to realize. And they're trying to find their space, their people, and they can do that online. Many of us had to wait till adulthood, go to university, find our core interests. Teenagers are able to dabble with that notion online as well as they explore their own identities in that space. So, something we need to grapple with is their social media and what it means to them. It's very different to how we work and use our own social media. When is the right age? You're not alone in feeling unsure. One of the questions, and I know many of you will come here because of this key question: when's the right age to allow my child to have social media? And with it now across our news channels, on the bans on social media in many different countries, the thought goes into, well, is that what I'm looking for? And the answer is, this isn't a perfect age. There is no age out there which really resonates with one type or one child. So it's something to be really reflective on, and I'll go into more deeply in a minute. Only 37% of parents feel confident guiding their child's digital habits. 9 in 10 parents are taking action but want more support. And these are statistics that we have found within the Singapore community and collected by the MDDI, Digital Parenting Study, which is a 2025 study. So this is very much reflective of how we're feeling today. Our top concerns, and we just saw them there as well: inappropriate content, interactions with strangers, and that of cyberbullying. So there is no magic age, is what I was trying to get across to. You may have a 10-year-old who loves reading, checks in regularly with you, understand their boundaries. And then you may have a 14-year-old who's going through a tough patch at school, and it might not be right for them then. And the thing we need to also understand is it's not once you've turned it on and given them access that you don't have the right as a parent to pull back. You can maybe see an app is not working for them and decide together that you'll pause it. It was working for you 3 months ago, but now it's not working for you. Before we ask what's the right age, what we need to really understand is what's the right age for my child to come and talk to me about social media. Consider if you gave them a social media today and an incident happened, one of the concerns that we alluded to, would they freeze? Would they try and hide it? Or would they come to you and ask and support for support? It's important to remember in the Singapore context, many of the apps have been given guidelines to meet age assurance. And what do I mean by that? Most social media platforms have a minimum age of 13, and the Singapore new regulation requires the App Store, and that I mean by the Apple Store and the Google Play Store, to implement this age insurance. Your child may be ready for social media when they're a little younger and they keep asking you for it, but be very aware that these assurance and ages are put there to keep our children very safe. And we have to, when we give them social media, be ready ourselves to have those conversations with them and understand what our role is when we're giving them such powerful tools for their community and their social life. How to do that? We will teach you some of the core philosophies and ideas through this incredible tool that the IMDA has created for us. We start with set. Know your landscape and set the rules. Understand what platforms your child is on or wants to join, and co-create boundaries together rather than imposing them so the rules actually stick. And I'll go through that a bit more. When you're bringing your child to social media, you are doing so knowing their maturity is right. They are ready to have these platforms. Therefore, they should be ready to have the conversation and set the boundaries together. As a parent, I often want to tell them the boundary and say, this is my rules, and you must abide by them. It works to a certain extent, and then they start to buck it. But if you make those rules together, then they do tend to last a bit longer. So setting the rules together is appropriate. The second is think. Teach critical evaluation before using. model and practice the habits of thinking critically about what goes on online. Is it kind? Is it necessary? Could it hurt someone? These are the reflective questions we want to be posing to our children before giving them tools such as Snapchat, Instagram. And these are the questions they need to reflect on. And what we find is those simple questions start to mitigate a lot of the risks when it comes to over addiction or cyberbullying. The third is report, recognize risks and know how to take action, be able to recognize red flags, cyberbullying, grooming, harmful content. With my own children who are teenagers, 14 and 15, I ask them, if you saw something this week, come and show me. And the reward is I trust you more. You get more independence because you're showing me you're being reflective and you're reporting back to me. And the fourth is engage and support. And as I walk through this presentation, I'll show how we put these all into play. Engage and support, be the safe person they come home to. Create a home environment where your child feels safe and tell you when they feel uncomfortable. I saw a great meme, and the irony of me telling you what I saw on Instagram is not lost, where it showed that children feel the safest where they're dressed the worst. If they are wearing, their pajamas and their track pants and they're really comfortable and they're sitting there, this is when they feel safe and you can have conversations with them where they really open up. Well, when they're out and about, they're surely really considering what they're wearing. So find your child's safe space, sit down and engage and support in those moments. What does social media look like for teens? And I just touched on this a little bit. One of the key points that we have to realize as parents, it doesn't look the same. The social media channels are not communicating to our children in the same way, and they are not supporting our children in the same way. And that's where we need to sort of step in. Our children's social media is a constant barrage of sponsored posts, influencers, fashion. It is no mistake that suddenly everybody is wearing a barrel jean, or a horse cut jean. It's because social media is saying this is what we should be wearing now. This is what we should look like. Pushing children to buy or children to, be influenced by that culture. The key thing we need to realize is that our children's attention is an economy all of its own that is being grappled with and used through trends and challenges, and often is being overexploited by those with bad intentions, something we'll explore. Teens are looking for influence by just the fact they're teens. When teenagers, when we were also younger, we would look for role models within our community. We were building relationships with them. Now it has got a lot more complex as our children are looking for mentors, new value systems, new ideas, and this is very true of any traditional thought process where you want to start bucking what you've been brought up with and trying new things on, often coming back to exactly where your family were to begin with, but it's very normal. So influencers have now taken that role as the mentor, as the person to look up to, and they are a strong importance in our teenagers' life. Influencers don't just influence what students buy or wear, they can often shape fundamental aspects of their identity, including their language, slang. It is no mistake that the whole of the globe where we work is all 6-7ing. It's something they're seeing online. Fashion and beauty standards are brought out by influence. We see that beauty trends have really come down to really young tweens. And if you go into Sephora now, there'll be a whole tween section, all created by influencers manufacturing this need. It will really affect their game interests and their social values and their opinions. We call this a parasocial relationship. If you've ever seen your child talk about a TikToker or an influencer as if you know them, if they say things like, she would never do that, she would never wear that, you're thinking, what? We've never met this person. Why are you talking about this person as if they're real? This is what I mean by a parasocial relationship. It's somebody that the person themselves The influencer is not aware of your child or this relationship exists, but your child has watched and viewed so much of their content and has related to it and enjoyed it that they now believe that they have a close connection. For example, if you consider a child called Noor, she's 14 and she discovered an influencer over 8 months ago. The influencer's a lot older, 22 years of age, and they feel like they've got it all together. They do fashion hauls, story time, videos. Everything comes to life. They're funny and relatable. This relationship of I get them, I know them grows. And this is quite normal. This has been going on since we were younger. Parasocial relationships have existed since Peppa Pig and Bluey. We've all had the characters on our t-shirts. What we need to think of when our children start to consider that these influences are part of their future and their life is the value system connecting with what we would like to teach our child? Is it positive? Are they going down rabbit holes and that rabbit hole could be a risk? This is something we need to consider and understand who has our children's ear. Where is that influence coming from? Is it a positive influence? Am I okay with it? How do you do this? By having those conversations with your child. Ask your child what they're watching. Let them explain to you what they love about these people, why they like this corner of the internet, and what they're comfortable with. Ask them questions that make them reflect. Do you think she's always like this in real life? Do you think this is curated? What goes into this video? How has this video become so complex? What would you do if they disappeared from the internet tomorrow? Are they that connected with you? Open up these conversations with your children. I want to look at one specific app right now to explain a feature, a disappearing message. This is something you may be worried about before your child goes onto social media. I'm talking about it in the context of Snapchat because it allows me to open up and communicate about one tool out there. However, disappearing messages also exist on Instagram as well. So they do exist across platforms. Ask your children where you've seen them. We don't need to be banning these because of having these features. It's about asking our children, do you understand that these features exist? So one of the features on Snapchat is the disappearing message. Now, why is there a disappearing message? The reason Snapchat would say is because it reflects real to day conversations. Once you've had a conversation, it disappears. It doesn't exist there forever. This could be a great and positive way of ensuring cyberbullying doesn't exist because the conversation dissipates. It doesn't continue and get passed around with a screenshot. So those are some of the positives around the disappearing message. But as adults, we also know it can be used very inappropriately as well. Snapchat also has other features that we need to be aware of, such as the streak. Snapchat really wants our child to stay on that platform and form its social relationships there. And so much of the behaviors that's built into the app are so the child keeps coming back. So the streak is when I'm having a conversation with my friend and I'm continuing to have this conversation on Snapchat, logging in and ensuring I have come to that many times. My streak, my score with my individual friend will keep coming and climbing up. This has become social currency in the playground. I've seen children who are highly anxious and they really worry that their streak is coming down. So they will log in at 2 in the morning to ensure their streak is up, having a sense of FOMO. I've seen it happen when, children have gone on a recreational or a residential and their phones have been taken off them, talking to their parents and saying, can you keep my streak up? I've worked really hard on it. So that's something to be aware of as well. Have deep conversations about the features on the apps. Make sure your teenagers know they exist not only to serve them as entertainment, but to serve the tech company. The more time you spend online on the app, the more the tech company gets to take your attention. Some of the conversations that we can have. Another feature that may be something you are aware of or you do not know of, but children, when they have Instagram, often have two accounts. A lovely way to look at this is you could think of a child called Becky, and Becky has her own account. It's incredibly polished, Becky Wong, and she is allowing her teachers to see this. Her extended family is created, is curated, and it's polished. The captions are deliberately thought about. She has really considered how she looks to the outside ear. Then she has another, and it's called a Finster account. And this is Wonky Beckett. And she's the same person, but the energy behind the account and the energy behind the stories is completely different. It's messy, it's unfiltered. It is for the eyes of her close friends and those that she knows would be okay with this. We call it a Finsta because it's a fake Instagram, but this is probably where the children feel most themselves. There's no pressure, no performance, no eyes that can take the information out of context. Sometimes as parents, we can really worry about the Finsta, but honestly, it does make sense at this age level. There are often two versions of ourselves, the one in the office, the one in the family and in the home. This is playing out online. Recognize your child may have a Finsta account and speak to them about the risks about having these two things by side. Who is in that Finsta account? Have you supported your child in understanding setting up privacy settings, understanding trust and boundaries? There are your close friends who have access to your thoughts and your values. There are friends in your class you don't know very well who may weaponize what you're doing. And then there's the outside world. Start conversations. Why do you think people post different things in different accounts? Why do you think some things are okay for your close friends and other content is not okay? See that they're thinking it through and they're doing it for the right reasons. I myself have two accounts, one for my work life and one for my social life. It's something that's naturally occurring online, and we need to help them deliver the context around it. Now, talking on TikTok, TikTok is very big in Singapore, but works very differently from the other platforms. And the difference to your child is the algorithm. They will not be coming over to TikTok to follow the people they know. They're very rarely looking at their friends' content on TikTok. They are actually thinking about all the entertainment, all the influencers, and they're looking to be entertained. If you look at these three videos on this slide, there is an AI influencer that looks completely real. You have a dangerous subway surfer who's doing something that's incredibly risk-taking. And the third one you can see there is a picture of a teacher and a very dangerous trend. You may have read in Australia, unfortunately, last week, a teacher actually lost their lives to a prank that was played out with no ill intention that but went very, very wrong. What we need to talk about is the content they're viewing when we're talking on TikTok. Is the content safe? Is it real? Could there be any danger in it? The real conversation is not that all TikTok is bad, but does your child understand that they're not in control of what they're seeing? The app itself is also making choices for them, quietly and constantly thinking about what they're looking at, what they're clicking on, what they enjoy, and then serving more of the same. One of the other things we worry about them watching TikTok for a long time is that addiction. TikTok is very addictive because of the algorithm and serving exactly what you want. One of the conversations you can start having here is what's the funniest and most interesting thing you've seen on TikTok this week? What's the thing that disturbed you? Do you like everything you're seeing? TikTok does allow you to reset the algorithm, and that's a really positive thing that we can talk to our children about using as a tool within the app. Talking about how we set up our accounts for the correct age. We have helps. We're going to show you a few slides that will help you actually set up the experiences for your children. Apps have apps have to follow age insurance regulations. I've talked about that already. The apps themselves do have quite a lot of features built into them. We as parents need to unlock the parent supervision tools for them to be effective. What do I mean by that? If your child is roaming the internet as an adult, every account is set up as an adult. The apps will treat them like an adult. But as parents, if we go on and switch on TikTok family pairing or Instagram parental supervision, they will then comply with the age insurance. It will restrict unwanted contacts from strangers. It restricts inappropriate or mature content, and it helps us set screen time limits, privacy, which we were talking about, and the cookies that follow our child across the internet, engaging with them there. So let's deep dive a bit more on how we can actually do this. So we can preset safety and privacy settings dependent on the age when it comes to TikTok. Feel free to take a screenshot of this or reach out to us and we can get these into your hands as well. First of all, make sure that the correct age is put into there. And at the age of 13, you can see their independence is slightly more limited. They're coming onto social media, so we don't want them to have everything. We want to close that down. Accounts start private. There are sleep hours on there, and they get 60 minutes of screen time limit to start. They're engaging in a very limited capacity. There are no notifications that are ringing out to them, asking them to come back, and they cannot go live. And they cannot do gifting online as well. If you would like to Google more on that, we can go into more depth, and their location will not be shared. And as you can see, as they go up, they can get more independence and you can support them when you feel confident that they can continue to work online independently. Okay, so let's make things a bit more practical. If you want to get your phones out, if you want, we can follow this through together. I know that we are all limited on time, so we can go through this. If you open TikTok on your phone and tap the profile icon in the bottom right corner, then tap the three lines in the top right to open the menu. You can also take a picture on the screen if these are a bit quick. And then scroll down and tap settings and privacy. We want to get to the settings and privacy. That's the first screen you will see on the slide as well. So just have a look at that. And then you want to find the family pairing. Once you're in this setting, scroll down until you see family pairings. It's listed under screen time. Tap it, and that's the second screen. If yours is slightly different, you may be on a different update, but this should be quite clear for everyone. As I said, take the screenshot or come over to our website. We have all that there as well under parent controls. Step 3, choose your role. TikTok will ask you, are you a parent or a teen? This is why it's very important you set this up together. I've had my child do this and lock me out of my account. So be sure that they are in the room to do that. Select parent, and then it will generate a QR code. You need your child's phone for the next step. So they will now connect together. So this is one thing you can do together to set this up, and then link the accounts on your child's phone, and they will go through the same process and select teen. Their phone scans the QR code, and you'll be able to confirm that you're together and the linking of the counts. And that's the fourth screen that you see there. It is incredibly important that this is a together exercise so your children understand what your concerns are, what your worries are, and how you're supporting them in it. That will open up the conversation later to, can I dial back on this? I feel more worried about this. I've had my children come and ask me to reset their screen time because they feel like they don't have control. They would have only known to do that if they knew that I had the ability to support them on that. So here you can see you can set up screen time limits and sleep reminders. Another rule that I would love to enforce if I could is ensure you take the phones from them at night and charge them in your room and not in their room. Children are impatient, they're impulsive. If something is happening at school, if they are worried or anxious about something, they will reach for their phone. You would prefer they come into your room and then tell you, I'm worried about this, can I check? And then you can open that conversation up. Now, for parents who would like more support on Instagram, Instagram is very good at teen protection. It's worked hard to do it. And so there are some good things that we can put into play. Sometimes it can get complex because there are so many features. So what can we do for the under teens? Accounts are set to private if we tell them the age of the child. They restrict sensitive content. Messaging limits are there, and anti-bullying protections, restricted tags are mentioned. And then again, there is a reminder every 60 minutes. You can throw it into sleep mode, and teens under 16s need parent permission to make the safing settings less strict. So they need to come back to you. Here's a bit on the steps that we can take here. You'll see there are 4 steps on the screen. Step 1, we need to open the Instagram. I know I'm going very fast, but there's so much more we need to get through. So hopefully, we can go through this. The recording is available and you can go through this again with me. Open Instagram on the child's phone, go to their profile and tap the 3 lines in their settings and look for the teen safety setting, or depending on your version, it might say supervision. You'll see the option to add a parent or guardian. That's your first screen that you can see on the left there. Either you or your teen can send the invite, and let your child initiate this, because then they become part of the conversation as well. And then what you'll see on the screen is the second step. It's the account privacy. If your child's account is public, you want to tell them to switch that off, especially if it's a Finster account. Ensure they understand the importance of having privacy there. And the third one is that screen time management that we've talked about and talked about in TikTok. Give them the opportunity to speak to you on the screen time. If they're asking for 4 hours, get them to think carefully. How much time do you have in a day? What are all the other things that you need to do? Limit it to an hour or what you feel like is appropriate. And as I said, they can't change any of these unless you're there with them. So these are some of the things we can do, is set up age verification for our children. As they get older, they will become more independent. Turn on those family pairings as you bring social media into their lives, and agree on the rules, on the boundaries, that you do have the right to take it off them if it's not serving them. So we will move on to another topic. How much of your child's life is online? If someone Googled you right now, what would they find? In my case, you would find my LinkedIn page, maybe an old Facebook photo roaming around, a comment that I may have left someone back in the day on Facebook. But now ask the same question of your child. Your child has grown up on social media. So actually, if you think deeply about this question, what's the content that you would find on your child online? They may have their ultrasound up there or their first birthday party. There is a lot of digital identity of our children that have been constructed online. This identity, if it's not protected, is visible to everyone and everyone. Children and teens' digital identities are really shaping their digital footprints and their digital future. And I want to delve into this a bit more, because it's become very normalized on social media to show our version of our world, thinking that it's in the right context. I am showing this to my peers at this age, and they all understand what I'm doing. They understand this viral moment is not going to be taken out of context. But unfortunately, it is taken out of context. We have seen where children's digital footprint has come back to bite them. A Harvard student got rejected because of sharing obscene memes, which was done years ago but hadn't been deleted. Our digital footprint, children need to realize, are permanent. We may delete them from our side, but they're stored somewhere in the data with the company that we have given it to. That data does not belong to your child. It belongs to the technology companies and has often been exploited and used in scams. Our online behavior does have real life effect. We know today that often it can affect if a child gets a visa, a university application, dependent on the views, even the likes or the algorithmic journey to how they've been viewed in that context. We need our children to understand this. I'm going to move back onto Menti to add you to the conversation. What was the last thing you shared online about your child? We ask this question because much of what our children's digital footprint exists of is what we ourselves are putting out there. So just reflect on, and all this is anonymous. We do not store the data or keep the data. This is for us all to reflect. What was the last thing we did? A milestone, a photo or video of their birthday, a funny story. Please do reflect on that while I take a sip of water. So many people who haven't posted on their children at all. And then the usual that we see and is quite common and no judgment. We've all done it. A photo of our video of our birthday, things we're proud of when things happen in our children's lives and we want, our global network to know about. Many of us now have global networks, especially in Singapore, people across the globe, and you're wanting to share your life's journeys that's happened. A milestone. These are some of the things that we can see, and it's really coming out as a 50-50 split. So, what do we think about when we're sharing? Are we thinking about all the right things? And how do we teach our own children about what to consider? This is a post that we've actually bring into the classroom to get our children to consider about their own digital footprints. Now, this one is from a mum who is an influencer. She has 826,000 followers, and she's sharing about her child. Now, this share is a bad share, just to teach, as it were. We should never share content of our children in their school uniform. This is obviously a geotag to where our child is. And there are many bad actors who are picking up and keeping this information as a data point for later. We're also teaching our children in this post that we shouldn't be also giving actual specific data of where you are, at what time, who your teacher is. These are all pointers to finding out and is being stored about a child. Let me show you this one video that gives this more context.
Hi, Ava.
Do you know that man?
Happy birthday, Ava! 8 already? Look like you'd a ball with your friends.
Ah, I see you're back playing football Thursdays, Ava. Hope your dad picks you up on time for once.
Every time you share their life online, you risk sharing their personal data with the world. Pause before you post. A message from the Data Protection Commission.
So, what is the problem with parenting? It's easy to trace personal information, such as their school uniforms. Early digital footprints are created, and then it's very hard for us to find where it is. It can be misused, and that data harvesting that we don't have visibility on, but we know with the advent of AI is something we need to be concerned about. It's very important that we really reflect on the monkey see, monkey do. If we are passing our phones to our children and saying, take a picture of me, I'm going to post it on my reel, I need to look perfect, I need to be doing it this way. This is a messaging we're giving our children that their digital identities should be highly curated. Anything you should do should be put online. Put some guardrails around this. It's not a case of not doing this, but what we do will be mimicked by our children. So ensure we consider what we're sharing. Are we putting our children's future at risk? And are we doing it responsibly? Discuss digital footprint and reputation and evaluate content critically. You can also go through old posts with them and say, would you like me to delete this? Are you okay with this being out there? What you'll find is most teenagers want all those baby photos deleted. We also introduce consent very early as a conversation. I've taken this picture of you. Would you like us to keep it between us, or can I show my friends? As they get older, there is less you're allowed to show your friends. What do you report when something feels wrong? let me just share this Menti with you and we can see how has your child ever told you about something uncomfortable they saw or experienced online? As we go into what we're worried about them, what they're viewing, we'll open the conversation up with this question. Has your child ever told you about something uncomfortable they saw or experienced online? Please, I'll give you a moment to take a look at that. Just have the two votes in at the moment. Great. And what we can see is we still have that 50-50 spread and this will be very dependent on the age of your child. I think for those confident yeses, their children may be under the age of 13, where our children are naturally at the age of compliance, who are coming and having those conversations. And for the older teenage mothers, fathers, and guardians out there, I can see you as I have teenagers myself. That conversation dissipates a bit. They're not ready to tell you just in case, they're in trouble or they're not sure how it will go. They're more reflective on the conversation. Do I need to? Can I support myself? So it's very much about the developmental age of the child as well. So for us and our context, let's see what we need to know. There are 3 common online harms we must know about. The first is unwanted contact from strangers. The next is inappropriate and harmful content. And the third is cyberbullying. Our children are global citizens. We must be aware when we are online, the online space was designed to be equitable. Anybody is allowed on it, and it is not built with the boundaries of children in there. So our children will come across these. Unfortunately, there are people with bad motivation in a global space, and we need to start opening up conversations with our students. Nearly 6 in 10 adolescent girls say they've been contacted by a stranger in uncomfortable ways on certain platforms. For example, your child may receive a DM from someone who looks like an influencer they know, saying, I love what you're doing. I'd love to get a collab going on with you. And then it can go dark quickly because it's not the influencer they thought it was. Now, I'd like to show you a screenshot of a Threads account of something I saw with my own daughter. And you can imagine my daughter's phones are completely locked up. There's not much they can do without them moving. Like, I am very aware of what they're doing. What had happened is Instagram had created her a Threads account, which she didn't know had existed. Remember, she's never logged into this account. There are very few students on Threads, but the account had been made, and the picture she had was a picture of herself with her phone above on her face. Something that I've taught them, that your public photos should not be recognizable to anyone else. So if it's a public photo, having the phone on your face, your friends still know who you are, but no one else does. From that photo, an unlogged account, this was the type of comments she was getting. Now, to also remember, many of these may even just be bots that are working out, is this somebody who's vulnerable that I will then initiate a conversation with? This is all unwanted contact that is early on, trying at different levels, different social media paths. And then it depends whether the child understands why these people have reached out. For a child who wants validation, likes, who's not popular in the real world, or is still trying to find themselves, this can be intoxicating. What can we do? We can block any user that is trying to contact our children. Instagram, if we go to the profile, the 3 dots, we can block that person, and showing children who still are finding these complex reasoning to think of because of their developmental age, we have a right as parents to come in and block it and say, you're now back to a safe space. I feel comfortable being here with you here. And in Snapchat, you can manage friendships as well and block as well. Make sure your children know where the block feature is on all the apps that you utilize. I just want to show you another video to sort of double down on this point.
In terms of social media and parents' concerns, I think there is a lot to be concerned about.
Children's health psychologist Nicholas Wester says while social media brings a lot of good, it also brings risks, especially for kids.
Being exposed to certain content online or on social media can trigger these algorithms to feed thinking that we want more of it and it'll send more and more. And kids might not be aware of that.
Graphic videos of the Charlie Kirk assassination are circulating online, leaving many parents concerned. Wester says when kids are continuously exposed to violent content online, they typically react in one of four different ways. A resilient response, where they have a healthy level of functioning and realize they don't want to see the content. A trauma or stress-related response, where it impacts the child and might cause a reaction. A habituated response, which is when it becomes normalized. And an over-identification response, which Wester says is troubling.
When individuals
So that's one more topic that we highlighted with the three that we need to be aware of. One is strangers coming to speak to our children. The next is the violent content that our children are seeing on social media. And this is not accidental, it's part of the algorithm. If a child sees something disturbing, they will still engage with it. It's like when we drive past a car crash, we automatically as humans slow down. And so this is created within the algorithm. So unfortunately, our children did see a lot of viral videos of Charlie Kirk's death as it was seen or perceived to be appropriate for them to see as news. They do see extremely distressing content, and there is a normalization, especially when you look at our boys' channels, there is a normalization of aggression and violence and physical content that then sort of takes people into very negative territories. So what can we do about this? First of all, we have to show the onus on reporting. Like the real world, if we were to see anything violent, we would go out of our way to report it. Our children need to learn this is true of their online space if they want their social media to be a nurturing and fun environment. So report abuse. This can be done through the report buttons, and please scan the DFL guide on how to report harm and different platforms. That's there for you all to utilize. I'll just pause here to allow you to take that scan. The next point that we also need to be aware of is cyberbullying, and we touch upon these points a lot in Cyberlite, and we bring you lots of webinars as well on cyberbullying. So I want to touch upon it lightly to make sure that we are considering it in different contexts. One is the confession page and the tea accounts, and this is where we spill the tea. There are often, with most schools that we see globally, a confession page made up by a bunch of peers, students, or somebody by themselves who is anonymous, and then they submit secrets and gossips about even themselves. I've seen that happen often, or about others. And this is where children get highly anxious. They don't want to be part of the confession page gossip while they want to view it. They can become a target. It often can be harmless, and it can be the chit chat of gossip that you'd find at this age. Funny confessions, inside jokes about teachers, maybe relatable posts about what it's like to be at school in the exam period. But some things can transform into being weaponized to cyberbullying. Confession pages work by the fact that nobody knows who started them, so people can sit anonymously behind them. They use apps such as NGL, ask your children if they know it, not going to lie, that can be plugged into Telenym, YOLO, and into Instagram and TikTok. And these are anonymous messaging apps where they can give honest feedback. Now, what we know about honest feedback as adults is if you're saying it anonymously, it's not often very good feedback. So talk to your children about the fact you know about confession pages. Have they been in one? Have they seen them? Are they fun? Have they become toxic? What would they do if they were targeted or a friend was targeted? Do they feel like it's a good or safe space to be? Children are led at this age by herd mentality, and often they will bystand, they will just sit by. And research has shown the one thing that actually brings down cyberbullying is an upstander culture, not a bystander culture. Speak to your child, have conversations about what it is to be a bystander and allow the cyberbullying to happen within their community and what they can do about it. Obviously, never let your child be in harm's way, but if they feel they can report it to you or a teacher, give them the power to do so. Tell them not to just go with the herd. If someone is being cyberbullied, do not like or share that post because they are then part of the problem. And even though it feels like a light touch moment, it emotionally really does affect. It becomes part of the targeted attack. Cyberbullying on confession pages affects that targeted attack. It is humiliating and it often is designed around false rumors. Things may not have happened at all and then become this big thing within the playground, something that our child needs to be aware of. What can we do? Understand how to recognize online harm, locate those block and report buttons, and ourselves, when we hear about cyberbullying, be the trusted adult who takes it in onus and to support the children, even if it's not your own child, reaching out to the school or their parents and saying, look, I saw this, don't know if it's something to be worried about, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. So how do we support safe social media use at home? My question is, who will your teen turn to first if something goes wrong online? Who do you feel that they would turn to first? So our first response is a very honest and very real one. I was in a classroom this week where teachers said this is exactly what's happening, and the children responded as well because AI does not judge them. It will support them for a long period of time, communicating to them in a language that they like. Again, we had some parents who feel that they still have the ear of their child and that they would come to them. And then, yes, friends who get the social context, who get what's happening on the ground there. And so this graph is very reflective of what we see when we go into classrooms as well. So just something to be aware of. I'm going to click forward. So what do we teach? Scroll with intention. Get your children to be mindful that social media is designed to keep them hooked and to make money from their attention. Bring in that attention economy word for them. People want you to stay on Snapchat forever or Instagram forever so you can be monetized. Start the conversation with them today. We have conversation starters on our website at cyberlite.org. You will find lots of them and they're up to date with what's happening in their zeitgeist. If you're not too sure, well, what do I ask? It's not something I'm comfortable with. It's not been in my parenting journey so far. We have some that we can share with you up there. To start those off. Listen actively without judgment. The biggest fear for our children is that we will judge them. Have these regular check-ins. It's always when they're in their track pants or they're lying around that you'll know they're in a safe space with you. And you can say, look, I'd love to know more. How's your day? What's been going on at school? What's going on online? Who's influencing your age group? Let me see. Is it funny? Is it fun? Be part of that. Please also have a look at this content that we have and complete the feedback. There are 4 key actions that parents can take. This is supportive and helpful for you. I will pause here so you can use that QR code at the top as well to bring this into your conversations with your children. And those who weren't able to make it today, please do bring it forward to them as well. And there is a plethora, lovely word, plethora, I said that wrong, of resources to keep your child safe online. And these are supported by Digital for Life, who support this webinar as well and allow us to have these deep conversations with you. There are resources to support the digital milestones and their developmental age. You will hear me say that a lot. Be aware of the age of your child and what's appropriate for them and guide them as they grow older. It will help you tackle the challenges that we've communicated as well. So I'm going to pause as we go into question time. Michelle, my co-founder, has popped up on the screen as well, and we are going to take those questions for you. And you can also submit your feedback, how supportive this is, and what else you need support on. How can we help you within the digital journey as your children grow older? Please do share that. It's always important we hear what you need.
Great.
Michelle.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Nina, for the presentation. I'd just like to encourage everyone to submit your questions into the Q&A box on the Zoom screen that you might see. We have about 10 minutes left to answer any questions that you have about social media, about letting your child into the cyberspace, any kind of anxiety that you're feeling about it. And another reminder, as Nina said, this session has been supported by Digital for Life. And so you'll see the QR code on the screen is a gov.sg code, because we're collecting this feedback so that we can provide even more sessions, more informative resources for you in the future. So please give us the feedback of what you've thought so far. I see a couple of questions come through, so let's get right into it. For parental controls and family agreements on social media, even after deleting the app still allows them to log in through browser mode. This is a huge problem that we're seeing, like Snapchat, Instagram, they all have the browser versions, right? So how do we better manage that? Nina?
There's two ways to manage this. One, you can get tools that can block at the browser level. You can even get tools that will block at the firewall level as well. Now, this only has a limited ability, and it's only recommended for the younger children to do, because our teenagers can find a million browsers to get out there, and then they end up on browsers that are not secure. So there's another issue with it. So that's when we go back to the conversations, getting to understand what's the addiction, why are they wanting to be on that platform for so long, and navigating those questions and why you're putting boundaries around it. Unfortunately, there's only so many limits. I find this in my own world with YouTube, that it suddenly pops up somewhere else because it's very easily accessible. So one is the conversations. Two, you can look out for those that will browse lock at the actual website level.
Yeah. Also, I forgot to say this. I know this is the most popular question across all the webinars. Is this going to be recorded and shared with you later? Yes, it will be. This recording will be uploaded to YouTube within the next week or so. So look out for our follow-up email where we'll share the resources that that Nina's just kind of shared earlier, as well as the recording link for this webinar. So if you missed the first half of it, don't worry. The next thing that I thought was very interesting was we talked a little bit about sharenting, about oversharing pictures or information about your children online. Although, realistically, as you mentioned earlier, Nina, we do have friends and families, maybe they're staying overseas, or you just want to connect with other friends and family. So does it help if I only post photos of my child with privacy settings shared only among a selected group of people?
Absolutely. I am at no point saying we don't share that part of our life. We live in a digital world. We do want people to know about our lives and our children. So it's a case of understanding the context, who's seen it. Am I okay with those people who are seeing it? And is it in a safe space? And of course, in those appropriate parameters, we're also teaching our children, look, I've shared it with those people you also know, and I'm confident I can do it in that manner.
Yeah. And the whole idea of oversharing is also to understand the audience that you're sharing it to, right? A photo of your child at a birthday party that you share only to 2 or 3 close friends is different if you share it in a public account on Instagram where you don't know who the audience is. So there, the privacy boundaries are quite clear on who and where you're sharing that kind of content is. The next question we got, I thought is very interesting. Is YouTube considered social media?
Yes, absolutely. YouTube is considered social media because it's designed around that a social aspect. So as I was saying, Instagram and TikTok are very different tools. TikTok is a place where they actually are for entertainment, and that is the same. So when we were talking about the culture of influencers, this is where that weighs in. When we're looking at inappropriate content, abuse content, harmful content, that's where that part of it comes in as well. And then it will have a cultural overlay with what they're communicating about together. So, Mr. Beast will be a huge thing that they will be communicating about. And they will also be talking about the news, and they may have something that's gone very viral that's completely fake. So it's part of their social world. While they may not message each other there, it does have different intentions that affects their social world.
Yeah, and this is also where we see that parasocial relationship really come through. If you follow any vloggers or any sort of the influencers that post quite a lot, you will see children start picking up their language, picking up the slang or, the fashion. They will start absorbing what they see on screen onto themselves. And when we go into schools, even in Singapore, you'll hear something that they call the YouTube accent. You will see where children start speaking in this like very high pitch, high energy type of format. It's all kind of coming into them through this type of YouTube influencer content that we see. The next question that came in is, what if your child disagrees with your proposed boundaries? And I think this might speak more on the different ages that when we say teenagers, it ranges so broadly, right? From a 13-year-old to a 16-year-old. I don't think the right kind of approach is to have a blanket approach on both ends of that spectrum. So Nina, with teenagers yourself, do you have any suggestions?
So this is also very much a parenting question rather than a cyber safety
Yeah.
question. For my viewpoint, if my children do not agree to the boundaries on the phone, they don't get the phone. I always have a thing, if I'm paying your bill, it's actually my phone that you're borrowing. And so I have on many occasions, if I've seen my son on YouTube, I've taken it off of him for over a month. And so it depends what you feel the risk is, what you feel would correct that situation, and why you feel you need to do that. So sometimes I can turn a blind eye. I understand it's part of their journey to try and do something I can't see, and I pretend I can't see it. But there's other times I feel like it's harmful, that it's become addictive, they're hiding things behind my back, and that I, as a parent, would like to remove that stress and that anxiety from their life, and I do remove it. So see where you sit with it and how comfortable you are with putting the boundaries into place and whether you need to. Some of it is just a conversation of, why do you feel like you need to be on it all the time? What is it you want to view? Can I find 20 minutes of a day where you can do that? Or if you feel like they're becoming highly addictive, withdrawing it from there is a positive thing for them.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
can be mean, so
I
I don't want to do that.
I think the point there is also that parenting aspect, right? What is right for your child? We
Yeah.
come with a lot of tips and a lot of suggestions, but end of the day, it's how your child reacts to certain boundaries and why they're reacting in different ways. So to follow on to that, we have another question around uh, I think is quite a realistic scenario that most parents are probably feeling right now is this parent says, I have a 13-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl, but I'm not tech savvy at all. I'm not in social media. I never check what they do online. I just don't have time to check all the controls and all the apps that they're using. And we get it. Like we hear from a lot of parents, this is super overwhelming. I don't even use TikTok. What is TikTok? So how do I even learn to control TikTok, right? So the parent is asking, how can I protect them in a simpler way?
Okay, so there are several ways that you can go about this. Unfortunately, your daughter is 16 years old, so in terms of asking you to put on a parent control, may be more complex at this age if she's had the freedom to do what she likes. One is a teach up method. Allow your children to tell you what they're seeing and make and carve out time in the day, not the day, we're not talking about every day, but within your parenting journey, every quarter, every week, where you can say, tell me, I want to know more. And you will find children want to tell you. There is this whole fallacy that children want to be on social media behind our backs. It's not true. It's part of their identity. They want you to experience it. So, as I love to say, a family that scrolls together stays together. So, that moment when you do have time to sit with them and they're on the phone, just ask them, what are you seeing? What are you viewing? Are you okay with that? Your parenting that you're doing in the offline world is the value system you want them to bring over to their online world. So you're doing half the job already. Now you just want to bring in those conversations and say, I went to this webinar. I had, and and the fact you've turned up today shows that you're very active. You are considering this. You do not need to log yourselves into TikTok and Instagram and, be overwhelmed by that world. They're already there. All you need to do is say, I see you and I want to help you if things happen. I've heard of these things. I'm here when that happens. So do that. And do be aware, our children spend 30 to 40% of their lives on the phone. So by us not having those conversations just means we're not talking about their entirety of their life. So be open. They will talk to you about it.
Yeah, I was also going
To
to
begin with,
say,
that you've just brought it in, but it will open up.
yes, I was just about to say the same thing to this parent. You're already here, you're already learning about things. So that's the step forward. The other thing that I do want to add on to is the kind of reaction that you get when you do ask your child about their social media. A lot of parents kind of come from a place of fear, so they respond with kind of judgment or anger, or telling the kid off, telling your children you shouldn't be doing that, or kind of punishing them for being on social media. But as Nina said, that's where their social lives are now, and we have to kind of ask these questions with an open mindset, with a curious mindset. And that's what our conversation starters are designed to do, is to kind of break that judgment and make it a more safe space for your children to tell you and report to you what they're seeing on social media. The next question that we have is unrelated, I guess, but I do want to just address that. Do you have a webinar on gaming? We actually held our very first webinar with Digital for Life back in November, particularly on gaming itself. So if you go to our YouTube channel, we are Cyberlite, you will be able to find the recording there. But also stay subscribed to our newsletter, because we should have lots of great sessions coming up this year, and some of them will be about gaming, some others will be about AI, and more on cyber safety as well. With that said, I don't see any more questions, so we will end the webinar here. Well, thank you very much, Nina, for the presentation today, and thank you all so much for spending your time with us this Saturday morning. Please do look out for our follow-up email, as we will share all our resources and links for you to look at afterwards. So thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.